Yo, what's going on everyone? Brian and Jim here with Drink a Beer and Play a Game, and welcome to the last Rocky game review with Rocky Legends for PS2.
Released in 2004, this came out on the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox. It was developed by Venom Games and published by Ubisoft. This game is kind of a successor to the previous Rocky game that we reviewed, but it added a lot more, expanded more in the Rocky universe, and yeah, it's probably just a better game in general. Let's just get into it.
Well, graphically, this game is an upgrade. It did come out 2 years later, but you can tell it's still based on the same engine as the Rocky game, and they added a shit ton more fighters, a bunch of different outfits for each fighter, and just a shit ton more venues. And not to mention, just the overall models of each fighter looks slightly more detailed, and we appreciate that. So as you see from our scores, I upgraded my score to an 8 and Jim upgraded his to a 7. While it's not perfect, there's really nothing wrong with it, and unless you're a complete graphics snob, you'd have to agree with that. So as far as beer is concerned, I'm just going to add 1 for you graphic snobs out there.
Alright, the sound. Much like the last Rocky game, this is a good package from a sound perspective. The sound effects for the most part are the same, so that's kind of a negligible point. But the music, I'd almost say it's a little bit better this time. The arrangement sounds slightly better. When you're in a fight, it'll actually kick in the Rocky theme song as you're getting closer to knocking your opponent out, which is a very cool little touch. The voice work in the game is, again, perfectly fine. Nothing spectacular, but it's definitely good. And it just seems like a cleaner version of what we had before, so considering it's a later game, we kept our score at 8s. And as far as beer goes... What? Ow! Ow! What the fuck?
You forgot to mention the montage music they play! Everyone loves it!
Yes, everyone does love the montage. I can't argue that. But, as far as beer goes, I'm still bitter about Eye of the Tiger, so I'm just gonna have to throw another beer down there.
Bitch!
Ha!
So the control actually improved since the previous game, in one major area. Those goddamn training sessions. These things are going to kill your fingers, and I felt like they were just slightly more responsive and much more reasonable this time around, allowing you to upgrade Rocky or Ivan or Clubber or Apollo, whoever you're playing as, and actually spend time learning different moves versus just mashing the shit out of a button. We appreciate that, and the rest of the game is goddamn identical. There was one difference, though, in gameplay, and that is now that you have a super meter, I'll call it, that basically allows you to build up that super punch we mentioned in the first review, and it now turns into a 3-punch combo. But be careful, if you don't knock out the guy, your stamina meter goes down to shit, and you'll be sluggish and a hell of a lot more susceptible to damage. So, keep that in mind when you're just throwing those punches away. When it comes to score, we both increased our score to an 8, and it's well deserving of it. As far as a beer, I'm just going to add 1 for those frustrating ass times when you do miss that super punch.
There is a lot of gameplay here. Let's start with the game modes. Returning from before, you have the story mode, which has been expanded because now you can go through the stories of Rocky, Clubber, Ivan, and Apollo. Even the cool part is that it expands on the backstories of the other 3 non-Rocky characters, so that's a really cool touch. But no Tommy gun for some reason.
Sucks!
I wonder, as if people wouldn't want to play as him. Brian, do you know why that would be?
Maybe because he's a chump.
Damn it. Anyway, you get survival modes which have been added, which is, you fight to survive with the Eye of the Tiger. It's the thrill. Ow! Damn it!
Drop that song!
You have the knockout tournaments come back. You have the training modes, which are a lot easier to get through this time than they were in the previous game. You have a shit ton of unlockables. So when you go through the story modes, you get money from progressing through the story. And that all goes towards unlocking different fighters, different arenas, and of course all the different costumes in the game. So there's a ton of content, and it'll keep you coming back. The boxing action itself stays as good as ever, and Brian already touched on the new actual fighting elements, so I don't have to do that. Overall, we both gave it 9s. This is a hell of a package. And as far as beers go, screw it, you don't need any.
The originality. If you heard our last review for the first Rocky game on PS2, you knew that game was an original. And since this is just taking that game and expanding it, ooh, it was tough to give any points. But hear us out, we were able to come up with more than just 1 point for this game. How many other games can you play as Mickey or Paulie in a boxing game? Can you name any? Nope, you can't. Go fuck yourself, Jim. Anyway.
What the fuck? What?
And other than that, this is the only Rocky game that allows you to play as those other characters that we've mentioned already through the career mode. So if you wanted to see Ivan start as a boxer, this is your only chance to see that. Everything else is as bare bones as it gets when it comes to originality, so we both had to give it a 2. When it comes to beers, I'm just going to add 2. One for Paulie and one for Mickey.
Well, replayability can be quick because we already listed everything that the game has for you. All the modes, all the unlockables, all the characters, all the story, all of it. The only reason we're not giving it 10s is because, while, the cutscenes are different for each character, you're still basically doing the same thing every time. So, maybe if they put a little more thought into each one of the characters' backstories, then it would have probably gotten a perfect 10 from us. So, we both gave it 9s. And as far as beers go, I'll do 1 beer just because with all this content, it always helps to have a little buzz for all the grinding.
So overall, plain and simple, this is the best Rocky video game. Although last video we did mention that you should go out and purchase the first Rocky game, honestly, if this is sitting right next to it, just pick this up. There's a lot more content and there's a lot more to enjoy. And this is one of those games I still go back because I want to unlock everyone. And since it's a beautiful PS2 game, you could just be cheap, put in a cheat code, and unlock everyone here and now, or you can work for it. It's really up to you.
Don't be a bitch!
Exactly. So, as you see from our scores, I upgraded my score to an 8, and Jim kept his right the same. It's a really, really fun game, and although the most technical boxing fans out there might have some issues with some of your lack of abilities to throw better combos or whatnot, chances are if you're playing this game, it's more because you're a big Rocky fan, and you're going to get everything you need out of this game. When we combine all of our scores together, guess what? It rounds out to an 8, exactly where we feel it should be. We know other critics were probably a little more tough on this game, and it's like I mentioned, if you're looking for a technically proficient boxing game, this probably isn't the one for you. But if you're looking for dumb Rocky fun and something to just beat your shit out of your friends with, you ain't gonna find something much more fun than this. So, do it! When it comes to beer pairing, I once again wanted to choose a Philly brewery, but this time I'm going with the Yards Brewing Company and picking one of their special beers from their Owls of the Revolution line. I'm choosing General Washington's Tavern Porter. This is my personal favorite of these 3 beers, and it's just a very solid porter. Coming in at 7%, it goes down real smooth, has a lot of flavor, and for a game this good, it deserves a good beer. So pair these 2 together and we guarantee you'll have fun. But remember to drink your beers and play your games responsibly. As always, guys, thanks for checking out this video, and if you enjoyed it, make sure you give us a thumbs up, leave some comments, or better yet, why not subscribe? Till next time, guys, cheers.